Hi, my name is Trevor Walker. I'm president and CEO of Frontier Lithium. Frontier Lithium is a pre-production business developing the PAK Lithium Project located in northwestern Ontario. Our mission is clear. It's to uh, produce and supply critical minerals, in this case, spodumene concentrates and lithium chemicals required to feed battery ecosystem being developed in North America, specifically in the Great Lakes region.
Right. Good to have you here. We've got to shake hands, right? Because we've not met in person. We've heard the story from very early days. And oh boy, you've really moved through the phases, haven't you?
Absolutely, it's been a journey. It's been an adventure. But as the saying goes, we're always moving forward at Frontier Lithium. So we've got a massive opportunity. It's really, really exciting what's happening in North America with very, very significant investment taking place for building a battery and electric vehicle ecosystem.
Yeah. Well, here's what I want to do today, if you're okay. We've talked very early days and kind of seen you, I say, move through those phases. But I'm interested, I'm sure your shareholders are interested in, and perhaps new people looking at this, or looking forward and going, well, how do you insert yourself into this ecosystem? We're saying critical mineral list, left, right, and center, this huge EV revolution that we're seeing. We're seeing a huge burst in acceleration in the lithium prices over the past couple of years, and you guys have been the beneficiaries of that, right? But you gotta keep going. So you're here at a conference in London for a start. What are you hoping to get out of it? Let's start with that.
It's work and then speak. And to your point, we've made massive progress. We've had a massive discovery on our projects. Recently, we've updated mineral resource when we consider all categories measured, indicated for second largest hard rock resource in North America. Highest grade, ranks top, one of the top in the world from a grade and low impurity perspective. We're telling our story, and we have a clear strategy, and that is to deliver. We need to continue to tell our story and find investors. In particular, we're starting to work towards increasing the institutional presence in the company. It sits around 15% right now. So really going through a phase of telling our story, finding like-minded funders and people ultimately that believe in the vision that we have and the opportunity that we have to be a part of this wild.
See, this is why it's important, this conversation for me, because started from the family business. It's kind of grown over the years, but you're now at a kind of point where, as you say, the grades are there, the scale is there. It's a global resource that you're dealing with. You're going to need a team who can deliver the next few steps. Lots of baby steps we deliver, but you need people who know what they're doing and do that. So in terms of the structure of the team, who's come in, what more do you need in terms of the personnel coming in? Because you've got to work towards an end goal. I'm sort of intrigued to see what that is. So let's start with the team first. What are you doing about it?
So it's a great question and a wonderful observation. It's, from a philosophical or strategic sense, you're right. The heart of the story lies in a tier one resource in a tier one jurisdiction. We've seen some struggles in North America, in particular in Canada, over the last 10 years on entering into the space and delivering products to help build this industry. It was clear observing, some of those struggles that it's most are aware that 85% of refined chemicals, for example, are coming out of China. There's no replacement for experience. So how does one leverage to create asset to attract world-class talents that we know with regards to process and technology that can actually deliver? Because what the market needs is new incumbents or new entrants and new supply outside of the incumbents. The reality is, with a great asset comes a great responsibility. So we've managed to attracts a VP of technology, Dr. Nigel Cao, is former chief scientist from PAK Lithium, one of the large producers out of China. That's really over the last 10, 15 years has delivered to the world very large part of the market share, east from a feedstock from the Greenbushes deposit. So very, very fortunate to leverage a great asset to attract Dr. Cao with tried, tested, proven experience to deliver chemicals over the years. So bridge into Asian experience. We are very fortunate to do that. However, we're not in China. And the next step was to inject North American or Northern experience. I can tell you, when you look at most of the designs in China, it really looks like a small city, a plant that you would never build in Northern Canada. So very fortunate to have the likes of Mark Wasserman, former head of global nickel assets for Glencore, who is a processing metallurgical background, built mines, built plants, delivered metals and chemicals for many years. Also a resident of Sudbury, we're headquartered. So really to introduce the Northern experience and plant experience with that asset, with the Chinese experience. So we're building that team. Again, recently, VP of Exploration, one of Mark's guys, VP of Operations, a friend of mine, Graham Goodall, about 2 months ago joined Friendlier, so that we can continue to build the team and we have the internal experience to deliver. And that is the mandate that's very clear from OEMs, from Ontario and Canadian governments. We need a champion in North America, and in our case, a Northern champion to deliver battery materials for that ecosystem that we're working very closely with government to help.
Okay, but let's look at these the legs on that table, right? So you've got the grade, got the scale, you've got the technical expertise, you've got the build expertise. You're still focused on exploration. That's a big part of what you're doing. I know it's big, but it can be bigger. If you discover it, can make some more. Great. But the other bits that you're going to need to deal with in the market are, one, talking to the market and getting some competitive tension through in terms of interest, whether it's JVs or offtakes or whatever it is that you're looking for, and you're going to need access to that capital to build this thing out, if indeed you're going to build this thing out. So with regards to those components, I know you're aware, what do you do? How do you change that? Being here in London is a good start, but what else do you do?
Our strategy has so far served us really well, and we saw this market coming together. We knew it was going to take some time. We could see since the financial crisis that there's been a lot of volatility, and capital markets have gone from looking for value, growth, to now near-term cash flow. We've felt market failure really in the past 10 years. It was clear to us that due to some market failures and tension, that government needs to step in. So non-traditional sources of capital. We feel that the market hasn't truly understood the impact of that. In particular, in Ontario, we have yet to see what Volkswagen's total plan is, but we believe there's been close to $30 billion in total in Ontario be attracted over the last 18 months. So from the data that we do have, roughly 30% of the capital expenditures through grants from government, from the provincial government of Ontario, matched by the federal government. So government has really stepped up. We have raised approximately $35 million for the company to continue to advance and grow our resource, and soon to be delivering pre-feasibility, stepping into the development phase of the company. So we're well financed. what's next for us.
You did put a raises for Christmas, right? Just to top things up.
Correct. Yeah. So we're cash positions roughly 20.
Okay, all good.
So we're well financed. We believe that we are undervalued compared to some of our peers right now. We think that the next step and is showing government support to continue to build that ecosystem and show that support upstream beyond the EV and cell manufacturing that has recently been attracted. Minister Fedeli and Minister Puri at PAC this past spring talked about 2023 as being an interesting year for showing lithium, the ability for lithium production from a mining capacity and this chemical production in Ontario. At this convergence of government supports and developing an ecosystem, OEMs wanting to build batteries and EVs, that needs to be supplied. That's where Frontier Lithium is positioned really well. Tier 1 resource in a Tier 1 jurisdiction. So we're really excited about being involved heavily with the critical mineral strategy in Ontario, knowing that those roads to prosperity, the drive to prosperity, lead to the PAK Lithium Project.
Here's what we've been hearing in battery conferences is the fact that a lot of people talking a good game, a lot of people talking about we'll get it to production. Not all will. It never will. Never does. But for those that can, they're in an environment financially where the debt element, it seems to be that you might, governments, whether it be federal, provincial, states, or even more local than that, the money's available to get projects going. There's a need for a supply. The supply potentially is there. The demand is definitely there. You've got instances, EPA announcement, which will be US government announcement, saying 2/3 of all US cars and light vehicles by 2032 will be electric, up from 1/3 by 2050 only 2 years ago. So it's moving at a pace here. But I'm interested in how companies like you, and so far you did a good job of explaining the things that you feel you need to do. But in terms of the competition, lithium prices have been running away for the last 2 years. I think it's come back down. A bit of sanity prevails, I think. And so I think companies that have been the beneficiaries of super high prices are going to have to actually start doing the hard yards. They're going to have to actually start delivering, not talking about it. You're kind of moving through those phases. So that's good news for you. But in terms of what are the next steps for you in terms of how do I get into production? I am going through the economic studies. I'm going to also need to find, you've got one build team person on board. What else do you need? Why are you going to be a winner where others are, again, talking a good game? Why are you going to get over the line?
So it's really about bringing the stakeholders together.
Right.
As you build an ecosystem to supply and manufacture, serve this demand and new industry, it's about where's the government money going? Who's going to build in close proximity? And would that be a great customer for future output or for the company? So we've been working through exploration and now stepping into development phase, we've had numerous conversations, everything from incumbents, lithium suppliers, right through to cell and electric vehicle producers. It's clear to us that we are required in the Great Lakes region to deliver before 2030 lithium chemicals. So beyond government support, that support that reduces risk. And the government support goes towards who can deliver and who's going to build it. So we're really excited. We're excited where we're at in conversations. We're excited about OEM's plans that are just starting to build.
Okay, but so this is what I'm getting to. It's like you got people looking in industry, looking at who's talking about it, who's going to do it. right? My money as an OEM will go to the people who we believe can get over the line, right? So what do you need to do? What do you need to say to, no, forget to say, what do you need to prove to them, apart from economic studies? Because sometimes that's just not enough. You're going to move through to pilot plant stage, demo plant stage before they'll kind of commit to you. I guess that's the big win. And certainly the big beneficiaries of the last 2 years, Piedmont's of this world, have been when OEMs step in and go, do you know what? I believe this story, so the rest of you can believe this story too. So how do you move those sorts of dialogues forward?
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's beyond a story, and it's about delivery and making sure there's alignments amongst partners. So that's a process that's in dialogue that we've been having to essentially shortlist who are those partners with from uh, from governments right through to OEMs. So we're excited about where we're at in those conversations. It's clear that, like anything, there's a process that needs to take place. So due diligence, for example, reviewing the plan, the physical plan of constructing the armory, concentrator, and chemical. So we're really excited to be delivering pre-feasibility here in the near future, because that's an essential piece of work.
What's the time frame there?
We're within weeks and not months. Okay. Pre-feasibility.
And in terms of how you move that again through the phases, I said at the beginning, are we doing feasibility study, then a definitive feasibility study? What does it look like in terms of time frame, in terms of available capital, or any constraints there?
Again, our main mandate is clear in conversations that we need to deliver lithium chemicals from the PAK Lithium Project before 2030.
Okay.
So working backwards from that, what are the things that need to happen? PFS, definitive feasibility. What will come out through our pre-feasibility is a clear phased approach. Phase 1, mine mineral and lithium concentrate production.
Right.
One of the things that is important is to de-risk. Market, as is searching for near-term cash flows. How can we get to cash flow as quickly as possible to de-risk and ultimately move towards expansion of mine site and construction of a chemical plant? So that'll come through the PFS. PFS, DFS phase 1, mine and mill. Environmental baseline. We're 12 months into a rigorous environmental baseline. The company as well is started to have conversation with regards to permitting with government, impact benefit agreements with our partnered Indigenous communities around the project. These are all the things that need to take place to ensure we've got a rock solid foundation.
I can hear you 100%. But the number of people who remember out of that response there is 2030. I know, industry knows, there's a whole bunch of deliverables. There's permits and licenses, and the EIA and any other ESG requirements you need to deliver. There's the First Nations and local partnerships that you obviously need to establish and have agreements with, as well as deciding, how do we go after this ore body of ours? Which bit do we go for first? How do we fund this mill and plant ourselves? It's a long road with lots of deliverables. So between now and then, I guess what you need to be able to do is tell a growth story and why it is a growth story, because 2030 feels a long time away. And I know we'll get there. When you're doing it, it'll come up on you quicker than you think. But for investors, it's like, is there still a growth story looking at you from today? You said you're undervalued. That's a good start, because if you're as a contrarian investor. But where's the potential for this thing to go? What are the moments that you think are true value, not just industry, but to investors?
Yeah, well, therein lies the opportunity. So when I deliver that message to you, it's that conservative timeline. With the great excitement in our conversations is both OEMs and government say, Trevor, can we do this quicker? And our response is, show us how we can do this quicker.
And meaning what? They're holding you back, or you feel that you got it and you know what you're doing?
Show us. So when we talk about permitting and the efforts and the timeline of permitting,
Yeah.
it's through governments coming to the table to help steward such an important anchor resource. Like through that process to accelerate and speed up.
Okay.
Through non-traditional sources of capital. How do we de-risk that and provide government support on such a strategic resource, supply that ecosystem that they're financing? You can't just help finance and attract OEMs and say we're not going to supply it in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
And therein lies the opportunity at Frontier Lithium. Show us to OEMs, how do you, we love, by the way, where we're at in conversation with OEMs. Trevor, how do we deliver? How can we accelerate? How can we support you to deliver quicker? How can we de-risk and provide project finance support for the project or possible partnerships? So that's really exciting and a huge opportunity for the company, our shareholders, the stakeholders, our Indigenous partners around the resource. So that is the opportunity that we have. An important resource, tier 1 resource in a tier 1 jurisdiction, whereby we've seen a very active government with OEMs starting to build. We lie in a perfect position right now. So what can we show our shareholders? What can we show the market? Deliver PFS. Show government support around our project. Get through due diligence process to show the partnerships, the offtake agreements, and what kind of support we expect from the OEMs building on the Great Lakes region. These are the events to take place over the next 12 months for Frontier Lithium. Such a great opportunity that we're really excited about.
Good to see you, sir. We will follow you eagerly, see how you get on. It's exciting times.
Thanks very much, Matt. Real pleasure, and look forward to the next chat and the next update.